I woke up this morning with a fresh perspective about this make-along. But I got a message on Instagram today that I think may completely change the way I do the rest of this shawl. Good morning. I woke up this morning with a fresh perspective about this make-along, and that is in part to all of these messages that I received on Instagram. So I shared yesterday that I was not going to finish clue 2 in time, which is before the third clue came out, and it's true, I didn't get it done. And I got lots of messages from people saying, Steven says, embrace your pace, it's okay, I'm only on clue 1, and all of those were good and well, but I could just feel like I was thinking, yeah, that's good, that's fine, I believe that, but not for me. I feel like I need to stay caught up on the clues because it's the only way that I will reach my goal of finishing in time, which is 1 week after the final clue is released. And it kind of got me thinking, like, why do I want to do this? I was already thinking about next year, like, do I really want to torture myself like this? It's not that fun. And I got this message from somebody named Delilah. And I will read this message to you and share with you kind of how it changed my perspective. So, started out kind of like the other messages I got. You don't have to be done with clue 2 to enjoy the release of clue 3. I'm looking forward to see what comes next while I work on the last section of clue 2. It's still a surprise and it's still so much fun. No need to stress about getting it done in time. When I first read this message, I just responded like I was to a lot of the other messages, like, thank you, you're right, of course. But as I kind of like sat around, working on my clue, trying to get it done, this message kept coming back to me, and there was something about it that clicked for me and made me realize what I actually enjoy about this make-along. The thing that is the most fun is not staying caught up, although that is a really fun challenge and I super enjoy pushing myself to the limit and trying to finish things. Of course, there's learning all of the new things, but the biggest element is the surprise. And for some reason, I felt like I couldn't see what was coming up next until I was working on it. So even when the new clue would come out, I would only watch part of it and I would only see I wouldn't turn the page and I wouldn't let myself see it until I got up to it, and then it caused like a little bit of stress, like not getting onto Instagram and doing my job and things like that. And what this person said that I just love so much is, it's still a surprise and it's still so much fun. I can enjoy working on this clue while I get to see what's coming up next. And that, silly as it sounds, totally changed things for me. So today I'm going to be doing something that I have never done in all of the years I've been doing this mystery shawl knit along. I am going to look ahead, as it were, and I'm going to watch clue 3's video while I finish up clue 2. It's totally true. This is still going to be a surprise to me. The element of fun is still there. I get to see what's coming up next. It's a surprise, but I also don't have to worry about not seeing other people's, and I can continue to work on this clue at my own pace. So real quick, here's where I ended up last night. I also did not torture myself by staying up late. I still do have a goal of finishing this in the month. Like, I still want to finish it on time. I'm hoping that I can catch up this week. We'll see, as I don't know what's coming next, but I am binding off the second to last section of clue 2. I just stopped right there. I was like, sleep is more important than than finishing this. And we are actually going out today on an adventure, so I don't know if I'm going to finish the other side of this. I have been keeping track of how long it's taking, and I'm not quite done yet. And I also had some things where I was like doing something else in timing, and then some parts where I was knitting and not timing, so this is semi-accurate. almost 6 hours. So I'm gonna estimate that it takes me another 6 hours to do that other section. I don't know if I'll get it done today. Like I said, we'll be out and about, but I do hope to get all picked up on this side before we leave so that I can bring it with me and work on it. Okay, so I think that it is time for us to dive in and take a look at Clue 2. I'm kind of like, am I spoiling things for myself? But remembering that it's still fun and still a surprise, even if I'm watching it when I'm not working on that part just yet. I have pulled up the email and it looks like it came at 4:43 a.m. this morning, which Stephen West is in Amsterdam. So I think that's about 7 hours ahead of me here on the East Coast. So here's a little sneak peek into Clue 3. This week we get to enjoy more of our accent color. Ooh, mine is the gray. So that will be fun. I can't wait to see your shawls grow and transform with this week's fun twisted stitch sections and optional I-cord embellishment detail. Interesting. Usually when it comes to optional things, it's a lot of extra work, so we shall see. All right, let me actually get it downloaded and let's see what is coming up this week. It is downloaded, it is in Knit Companion, and right now I'm seeing that there are 4 pages. I'm feeling like kind of excited and like relieved that I don't have to start on this right away. I can just look at it. There's something very like freeing about that. So the first page is the cover photo, as always. Just looks like that. The second page here has some abbreviations and it does start section 6. So just like I was thinking, it looks like we're going to pick up, because look at this thing. It is just massive. Like it's so huge. So I was thinking, and I don't think that I shared this, so you'll just have to believe me, that we're going to go pick up all along here. And it seems like that is what is happening, gosh, here this week. So let's keep looking. Okay, I think I'm wrong again. I'm confused, in case you couldn't tell from my face. I thought we were gonna pick up below, but it kind of looks like from the pictures that we're picking up the side. I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to turn on the video and just watch some of it through. I'm probably not gonna watch it all, like all the details of everything, but kind of skip through and skip around to see what's expected. But right now I'm seeing that we have a section 6 called Left Twisted Stitch Strip, which is 46 rows that are repeated 4 times and a half. That's a lot. And then we have a right twisted stitch strip, and then an I-cord embellishment. The I-cord embellishment is an optional detail to decorate sections 4 and 5. Interesting. So yeah, I'm gonna exit out of this clue and open up Clue 2 so that I can continue to work on my cable section here. I guess I don't need it yet because I'm just finding off right now, but I will need it when I go to pick up this other side. And I think I'm just gonna throw Clue 3 video, the Clue 3 video up on my TV screen and just enjoy and watch and knit and see what surprises are to come.
I see you standing there, a soothing atmosphere. Smell of your aftershave, sweet blossom in the rain. You flip around your hair as if you're unaware, but you should know that I'm looking at you.
Okay, so it looks like even though the first couple of sections, or all of the sections, have a lot of rows, it's like a tiny amount of stitches. So I'm gonna fast forward a little bit and see what it looks like.
I do believe in lovers like me and you, yeah, you just keep on
flow. Now that I'm not worried about getting like spoiled and thinking of like seeing the next thing as a surprise that I already want, I'm like recklessly, or it feels reckless, I'm just fast forwarding to see what's coming up next. This is great. Yeah. Oh, whoa. Okay, this is wild. Okay, I'm now gonna see what this optional I-cord thing is, which is gonna be great because it will help me to plan ahead and see if I do want to leave time to do this. If I don't, then great, maybe I will have a really good chance of getting caught up. I escaped to the bedroom to get away from all the loud noises of the oven and Kent cooking and everything, and I have seen all of clue 3. I also just finished up this section. It is bound off, so I am ready to pick up and go over here. So even though I've seen clue 3, I think I'm gonna make you wait to see how mine turns out, but it is pretty wild. And I do think I'm going to want to do the optional part, which I'll just tell you now is these crazy little I-cords that you put into the cables. And so because of that, hello, hey toaster, hi buddy. Come up here. Because of that, I'm going to look for a size 4 double pointed needle today because we are going to a yarn store and I-cord is just so much faster and easier with a double pointed needle because you can just slide it across really, really fast. So that may be the determiner if I actually do that or not, and time. So I'm not going to stress about making a super duper schedule right now. I have 7 days, including today, until the next clue comes out, and it would be really great to be caught up because I do think there's going to be a lot of knitting in the last clue. I don't know where we're going here. This may just be a really long skinny shawl because we've still got live stitches over here. I have no idea. But if I were to do everything included, I would say that this would be my loose plan. Today, focus on getting this cable section done. I would give myself today and half of tomorrow to do that. Then tomorrow, which is Friday, and Saturday, I would try my best to get all of the next section done. Sorry, the door's open now. And then Sunday and Monday, get the repeat of that on the other side done. And that would leave me Tuesday and Wednesday to do all the I-cords, which I might not be caught up by then, but it would be good if I am. So that's my loose plan for now. We'll see how it goes, but I am going to just focus on enjoying and getting this cable section done today. Good morning, happy Saturday. It is the 3rd day of clue 3, yet I have not started on it yet. There's like something on the camera lens, hopefully. Hopefully it's all fine. But this morning, I finally finished clue 2. So now I am caught up and ready to try to stay caught up and finish before next Thursday's final clue drops. So that gives me today, which is Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I have 5 days, almost full days, because it's only like, what, 10:45 in the morning, and we really don't have any plans this weekend. So yesterday was a big catch-up day for me. We had been going since we went to Rhinebeck, and we were out all day Thursday. I got a little bit of knitting done, but didn't finish the, I think it was this side of clue 2. And so I worked on it a lot yesterday. I also got caught up on like laundry, emails, all sorts of things. Big catch-up day. And today I just get to relax and enjoy and start the next clue. So here's what things are looking like so far. I mean, I already know where we're going with clue 3, and it's, I don't know, not really making sense. You'll see soon, but I'm trusting it. I'm still having a good time. I will say that there's part of me that wishes that I had not done a gray here. I think it would have been fun to have something a little more poppy, especially since I'm about to use the gray a whole lot. Get this fuzz out of my lip gloss here. Oh, it was hair. But you know what? I can't say that it doesn't look good. Like, it does look good, especially at a distance. I think I'm just too close to it. So my plan as of right now is to just start the third clue. I'm gonna use my phone timer again just to see how long it takes, because again, we're gonna be repeating stuff on one side and the other. Before I start clue 3 though, we need a time summary on clue 2. I just like doing this because I think it makes me feel better that it took me so long, because this is a heck of a lot of knitting. So I estimated that each repeat here took me an hour and a half, and there were like 4.5 repeats. So that would be 7 hours, I believe, per side here. So that's 14 hours. And then each of these I think took me around 6 hours. So times 2, that's 12. So altogether, I just did this, what is it, 12 plus 14? I feel like I didn't quite get that right. Hold on. Okay, yes, altogether, we're looking at about 26 hours for clue 2. I believe, I can't remember, I need to go back. I believe that clue 1 was like 32 or 34 hours, so let's just say it was 32. So we're either looking at 58 or 60 hours total in about, for me, 16 days. That's a lot of knitting. Since we're halfway through, I thought it'd be interesting to see how much yarn is left as well. So we had originally 2 skeins of the main color, which I have broken into both. So I've got not much left of the first skein. And then when I went to do like the last part of the section, I went ahead and broke into another main color because I knew that wasn't gonna last. So I've used up a good bit of this one too. So that's a lot. And then same thing with this accent, or this contrast color. I've already broken into the second skein, and we have used a lot of yarn. Now this next section coming up uses accent color, both of the next 2 sections. Actually, I think the entire clue 3 is using this accent color, and Steven said we'd have plenty of it. So I'm looking to see this one go down by a lot. And I think that also means that I'm going to leave all of this stored away, and I love having just one ball of yarn attached to my project. That makes things so much easier, and I'm just gonna carry this with me throughout the weekend. I've just completed 1 repeat of section 6, which is the first section of clue 3. It looks really beautiful. I'm excited about it. It took me 1 hour and about 20 minutes, 1 hour and 20 minutes. So I'm just gonna call it an hour and 15 minutes because I've done some math to kind of plan out the rest of this clues week, as it were. So let's talk about the knitting first, because I have watched ahead, so I know where this is going. But basically we have this little attachment here on the side, okay? So here's the whole thing. And then we have this guy on the side that's just gonna keep growing this way and be 4 times as long as this. I have 3 more repeats to do. Then I'll go and do the same thing here on the other side. And remember, there are live stitches here. So I'm gonna make a prediction. And this one honestly scares me. If the next week's clue is filling in all of this with knitting, that's gonna be a ton of knitting. So just like imagine this is grown out to like here, and then like we have to fill in the knitting. Not only will that be a ton of knitting, it will be very, very long. And then same on the other side. So I'm hoping that we're actually going to use this strip for more twisting and turning. Maybe it gets woven in somehow to some knitting that we're going to do here. I literally have no clue, but this week is definitely a lot less knitting. So I have, I think, 22 stitches and it is 46 rows, and I'm going to do that 3 more times on this side and then 4 total times on the other side. So I have written down a little bit of math. I have 75 minutes for the next 3 repeats, plus you work it like halfway through again. So another probably 45-ish minutes. And that leaves me 4.5 hours left on this side. Then I'll need to do the other side, which will be about 6 hours in total. That's roughly. So this is what I'm thinking. I'm gonna use today, which is Saturday, and tomorrow, Sunday, to finish section 6. I've got 4.5 hours of knitting, like 4.5 hours of knitting left to do over 2 days. I think that is more than reasonable. If I get ahead of that, great, I'll start the next one, the next section, but if I'm not there, then that's okay too. I really don't have anything to do the next couple days, so I probably will get ahead, but I don't want to believe in myself too much here. Then I'll use Monday and Tuesday to work on the same thing on the other side, which will leave me Wednesday if I want to or have time to add in these little I-cord things. So you make these cool little I-cord things and then you weave them into the cables here. It's optional. It doesn't add any like length to the shawl. It's just embellishment. So maybe, I'm just thinking of this now, maybe if I am ahead, I will stop and go ahead and make a few I-cords. Because that's going to be kind of tedious, but it's also very easy knitting. I also, oh wait, hold on, I'll be right back. So I was at a yarn store the other day and I made sure to grab size 4, which is the size that I'm using, double pointed needles. Now, if they had, you may be wondering why I have 2, because they had 5-inch and 7-inch. Looks like this. And I'm used to working with, I believe, a 6-inch double pointed needle. So I was like, okay, I don't know, 5 may be too short, but 7 may be too long. It may be annoying. So I thought, why don't I just get both? This is not something that like past Natalie would have done. I would have said, I don't need all these extra tools and all of that, which is true. I don't need all the extra tools, but I think it was worth the maybe 10, I think they're like 10 bucks. I think it was worth the $10 extra that I spent to get the right tools for the job, because it may make the difference between me wanting to do those embellishments and not wanting to do them. Then when I'm done, I can decide, do I want them to go into my collection or do I put them back in the package and donate these needles because I no longer need them for the project. So just trying to think about things in a different way and like not let like a couple of bucks keep me from having comfort and fun with my knitting. All right, I think that's all I have to say for now. I'm just gonna keep on knitting, watching football, watching YouTube for the rest of the day. Checking in here on a rainy Monday, which means I've gone the whole weekend without really sharing that much, but it's been a really productive weekend and I am on schedule. I was a little ahead of schedule, but then I was like, oh, I'm gonna get ahead, and then I just enjoyed instead. So let me update you on what has been going on. I finished all of this one side, which is, I think, section 6 all the way to it bound off. It looks extremely weird, but I do have a guess as to what we're doing, a different one than before. Then I started on, I don't know if you can hear Toaster, he's just like licking and licking and licking himself. Toaster, Toaster. This side's a little tangled, hang on. This is the side I'm currently working on. I've picked up and gotten started on that. I did that all yesterday on Sunday. So if you remember, my plan was to do this side on Saturday, Sunday, this side on Monday, Tuesday, and then leave a full day for anything that happens or working on the I-cords. So I'm a little ahead because I already started on this yesterday and I feel good about finishing this over the next 2 days. I actually took a little time yesterday to experiment with the little I-cords. So this is what these look like. They are these funny little I-cord embellishments. You make an I-cord and then you leave them in under your cables. So I've done 2 of them and I got to test out my 2 different double pointed needles. What are these called? Double pointed needles that I got. I tried one with the 5 inches and one with the 7 inches. They're both the same needle size. And to be honest, I didn't really like either one. I think I'm probably gonna make the rest with the 5 inch because they're, well, these 7 inch ones were like too long. They were poking into my wrist in the same place, just the way that I held them. And I just didn't like that. My ideal double pointed needle is 6 inches long, so there you go. The 5 inch ones feel a tiny bit short. Keep in mind that most interchangeable needle tips are 5 inches long. So it's like just enough to place on your hand and have it rest. So not a huge fan of either length, but I'm glad I got both and got to test out both and see which one was better. So I feel like everything we've done up until this point has kind of prepared me for this moment to not feel like any of this is too much. We already did a ton of purling through the back loop here, which makes me feel grateful that there's only about 5 stitches to purl through the back loop, making it quite fast and easy. Also, we did a bunch of cables and here we have a ton of tiny little cables. So I almost feel like the rest of the shawl has been training me for this moment to do this. Now, I've got this mostly memorized now, which is nice. I've made a few errors that I had to frog back and everything, but for the most part, I'm just kind of checking in at the beginning and end of the repeat. I'm also doing all of these cables without a cable needle. They're just 2 stitches that cross over each other. I do mine slightly different than shown in the tutorial video, I think for one of the cables. I just didn't even look for the other one because I knew I had a way of doing it that I've learned elsewhere, and I think it's a little bit easier because you slip the stitch first before moving them around. I don't know. It's just a little bit different, but gets you the same results. So that brings me to my newest theory. We have live stitches, we have this. So if we had to fill in all of this space, that would be a ton of knitting. It would also be a very, very long shawl, which I think would be pretty awkward. I mean, it's already kind of strange. So my new guess is that either we're using this to weave in somewhere or we're gonna make some sort of short row wedge. So we'll get all of these stitches and then we'll kind of be like picking up and attaching this as a, what is that called? Like an applied border, and it will kind of like curve up like this. That's my newest guess. That's still a lot of knitting because we'll have to do that to both sides. We also have this unfinished business here on the bottom that I'm hoping doesn't just stay like this because it's a little strange to me. Like it doesn't look finished to me, but I don't know. We'll have to see. So somebody said, and it was made by Maddie on her Instagram, that she thought for sure there would be a bonus clue today on Monday, which happened, I think, last year. It was like a bonus clue, but it wasn't really a bonus because you had to do it before going on to the next section, and I don't think people were very happy about it. Maybe it was 2 years ago. But anyway, she posted that on Sunday, and I was like, no, don't curse it, I don't want a bonus clue. And so far, haven't seen that there is bonus knitting. This clue is certainly a lot less knitting than the last one. Last 2, but I'm thinking the very last one is going to have a lot, and I'm wondering if there's going to be a little bit of an extra bit on that. We do have we do have a little bit of extra this week with the I cord, which is optional because it doesn't add anything on. But I'm gonna do it. I like it and I'm gonna do it, and it's fun and easy. So yeah, not much else to say. I'm gonna keep trucking along on this section, make my I cord embellishments, and hopefully have a smooth and easy week. It is the night before the final clue, and I have fantastic news. If you can't tell by my tone, I'm very pleased because I have finished clue 3. You're like, wait, where is clue 3? Well, it's right here and right here. And I do actually still have a little bit more to do, but it's just the bonus part that I did show already. These cute little guys. I've got, since it's dark outside, I've got my really bright light here because we're about to do an event. But I have been working on my little I cord guys today. I did 3 of them on my walk to and from Pilates just now. One of them has turned out longer than the others, so I gotta like take a couple rows back. I must have done too many, but I've almost got another one already done. These I think take me like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes a piece, so they're really fast. I think it takes probably 5 minutes just to sew them in. So I'm gonna try to get them all knit, and then if I don't get them all like into the shawl tonight, I am working on being okay with that, because at first I was like, oh my gosh, you're almost there, just like push through to finish it. But you know what? I don't want to stay up late tonight and change my whole everything just to get that little bit done. I can still have these all knit and finished. I think that's doable tonight, and still add them in throughout the next clue. I do think the next clue is going to be a big one, so I am anticipating tomorrow, getting excited for like the final product, to see everything. And at least right now I am thinking I'm going to go ahead and watch the whole video and see everything that is going to be in that clue. We're going to go ahead and wrap up the math on clue 3, because this is going to be the only clue that we're going to get to do this for, because clue 1, I was up until like 2 in the morning, and clue 2, I used a couple extra days, and this is clue 3, and clue 4 is gonna be the end. So there's not another clue coming out. Well, sometimes there is, but not in the weekly process that it has been. This time I have it written down. I've been keeping track of everything. So here we go, clue 3. So there were these wavy little repeats, which I just timed the first one. It took me about an hour and 15 minutes, and there were 4.5 repeats per side. So I just did 9 total repeats times 75 minutes, and I got 11.25. Wait, that doesn't sound right as I'm saying that. 75, oh gosh, I had this planned, but now I'm like not sure. 75 times 9 divided by 60. Okay, yeah, 11.25 hours. So that is not too bad. Then all little I cord guys, I'm calling them 15 minutes because it takes around 10 minutes to knit them and then around another 5 to get them in there. So I'm gonna call them each 15 minutes just for good measure, and there are 10 of those. Haven't done them all yet, but let's just go ahead and do the math on that. 10 times 15, and then I converted it to hours, I don't know. I have it written down here as 2.5 hours. So that brings us to 13 3/4 of an hour for clue 3. But if you remember in clue 1, I said, I hope that looked fast on camera, because in reality, it took about 10 minutes. So we're gonna add that 10 minutes back in here and call it 15 minutes so that we can have a rounded even 14 hours for clue 3. So if you remember, clue 1 took me 34 hours. Clue 2 took me 26, so that's nice. We're going back down. And then this clue only took 14 hours. Such a difference from that first week. I do think this next one is gonna be pretty wild and crazy, but we will have to wait until tomorrow to find out. Oh my goodness, I have been waiting all day to get to clue 4. And if I'm being a little quiet, it's because Kent's in the other room on a Zoom call and I don't want to disturb him, but I couldn't wait a second longer because this morning I had a doctor's appointment early in the morning. Well, it wasn't that early, but it was for blood work. So I didn't want to get up super early and start on the clue because then I would be really hungry because I needed to fast. Anyway, this has resulted in it being now 4:30 and I haven't seen the end of the shawl. And I've been avoiding Instagram all day. I really badly want to see what is going to happen with this craziness. Like, how is this all coming together? Now, I am so surprised. I surprised myself, but I have finished all of the bonus part completely. I have every single one of those little I-cord ends in, and I only had to stay up like, I think, 30 minutes later than my normal bedtime. We finished watching our show last night and I was like, yeah, I'm just gonna finish it. I had finished knitting all the I-cords, I just needed to sew them in, but who cares about that anymore? I wanna know what's gonna happen in clue number 4. Okay, I have the final email. All right, it says clue 4 is finally here. I can't believe we're at the end of Twists and Turns. Me either, Steven. I'm ready to finish it. Clue 4 adds some final wing tips to the shawl, okay? And it also features a beautiful final chevron section to deepen the center of the shawl, okay? Download Clue 4 to receive the final. Okay, let's download it. All right, Clue 4 has 5 pages, and kind of like always, the first page is just a picture. The second page does start the instructions. What is he doing? Coaster. I am not loving what I'm seeing so far because it kind of looks like we're basically gonna do the same wedge section, but like with picking up these. And it said something like 22, repeat pattern 22 times, 23 main color stripes and 24 contrast color. I don't want to keep doing the same thing. Wait, I guess it's not the same thing if it's main color and contrast and not main color and accent. I'm gonna watch the video for sure, but let's just keep on going. Okay, I'm liking the look. I'm just looking at pictures now. I love this, like not having to worry, like letting this be the surprise and not the knitting be the surprise. It's just so much more pleasant and fun. Okay, cool. I mean, it's still a lot of repetitive stuff, which I'm not super psyched about. I would like to be doing more different and new things, but at the same time, we've done so many amazing, insane techniques in this shawl. I think I'm not gonna watch the video all the way through. I think I'm just gonna get started, and I'm pretty sure we're gonna work a wing out, work another wing, where to go, work another wing going out, and then we get to work something here. That looks kind of cool. This would be a very cool sweater. Doesn't he have a sweater like this? Anyway, I'm gonna get to work. I have about 3 hours, no, probably a little less than that, to just hang out. I'm gonna catch up on my Kardashians and my Real Housewives and just indulge and knit and enjoy the rest of the afternoon.
Are you ready to knit the final section of Twists and Turns?
Yes.
We're going to use color and contrast color to fill in this space after those short rows and next to this twisted stitch strip. We're going to knit some fabric and attach it to that twisted stitch strip as we knit.
I was right.
Like you drop it. Here. Here.
Okay, I'm not mad anymore because I haven't gotten very far. but I'm watching through the video, like just letting it play because it's kind of easy techniques. And there's lots of stripes, but I was imagining them being this big. Can you imagine 22 of those? That's a lot of knitting. I mean, these were taking me like an hour and a half or something like that. No, they're little skinny stripes. And because we're incorporating this guy, we're decreasing stitches every single time. So I am renewed already. Lots of ups and downs here. And I'm excited about this section. I think it's gonna go by like kind of fast and be very satisfying because not only are you like eating up this strip here, incorporating that in. I find that always so satisfying, but you're also getting shorter and shorter rows, which is so much fun. So yeah, I feel good about this. I'm excited for this section. I am doing my timer because I am feeling very determined and good about being able to finish this 1 week from today, which will be next Thursday. I just think that would be the best thing, to finish it within the month. So I'm gonna keep on timing myself. I've got a buddy here with me today. So it is finally the weekend and it is day 3 of the final clue. And we have lots and lots of time this weekend, which I'm really excited about because I think I'm going to need it. I'm really enjoying this section because I don't have to look at the pattern and you can really start to see like section 8 coming together, zipping up with this crazy little ribbon on the side, and it's really cool and really satisfying, which is just what I hoped for. But I also am hoping to finish this whole thing by Wednesday, and I have got Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days to do it. I think the only way that I'm going to give myself a good chance is to finish up these wingtip sections over the weekend. So that means finishing this one and starting and finishing the other one. I've been keeping track of my time though. I haven't done the best job, so I would say I would give or take 30 minutes on that. So I feel like I've been knitting a lot, but I guess I've only put about 4 hours into it over the last 2 days, but I have no real plans this weekend, so we're really going to get going on it. My hope is to finish this wingtip today and go ahead and start the next one and then finish that next one tomorrow. Tomorrow is the day before Halloween, so we're gonna be watching Halloween movies all day. And for today, I'm gonna be watching lots of episodes of Love is Blind. So I have 7 stitches left, which is what I'm supposed to have, but I still have another 4 rows to go. And I also have a little bit of this left. So clearly I've gone wrong somewhere, which may be me doing extra decreases I wasn't supposed to do. I don't know. I'm gonna have to stop here, take a look at the video and see what I can do to fudge this so that it looks right with all the correct number of stripes. But I think we can do it. Okay, I got it sorted out. Here's the end of it. Turns out I wasn't as far off as I thought I was. I was able to fix it by just doing one more row where it was like not knitting the 3 stitches together so that I could maintain a 7 stitch count, and then I just had to skip like 1 I-cord pickup and it's all sorted. I think it looks really good, and that's section 8 all done. I even woven my little ends. I've just been keeping my little pouch here with my tapestry needle and my scissors, and I've been weaving in a lot of my ends as I go, which has been very satisfying to feel like it's truly complete. That's gonna really need some blocking there, I can tell. So now I have met 1/2 of my goal today, which was to finish that section, and I am ready to get started on this other side and see how much of this I can get done today. I also wanted to share that I just hit stop on my timer, and I can't say this is the most accurate timer, so I may also keep track as I do the other wingtip, but around 7 hours is what we're looking at. So I think that that's doable because I should get lots and it's only not even noon on Saturday and I have the rest of the day today and all day tomorrow to work on this. So I'm gonna put everything that I can into it. And I was worried that this next section would have a lot of purling because of the differences in these two sections, but it looks like it's mostly a knit section, just like the one that I just did. So that's all good. So the timing should hopefully be similar. But yeah, I didn't do a great job checking it, so I'm gonna probably do it again. Things are going well with my, I think what is a section 9, but my goal is to have this finished today, and I did a ton yesterday and a little bit this morning, and it just gets faster and faster as you work towards the end here. Hopefully I won't have to do fudging like I did at the end of the other one, but even if I do, it's not a huge deal. So last night I was looking into the next and final section of the clue, or of the shawl, and I'm just not really sure I like what is coming up. Basically, you take this and you do like more chevrons and they end up just like little pointy things at the end of the shawl. And I'm not really into it. There is an option to basically just do a little tiny bit right here in your accent color and then bind off with I-cord, which I am thinking about doing, but I haven't seen any photos of anyone doing it yet, so I kind of want to see what it looks like. There are also some people who are like just filling in these little sections and doing short rows. I mean, I was just like scrolling and scrolling through the Ravelry, Westknits Ravelry group last night, which is not an area I've ever gone into before, even in the past shawls, because I've just never been so, I guess, into like present into the shawl. I've always been like frantic and behind and just, I'll just finish early, whatever. Now I feel like I actually have the mental space and physical time to like go, what do I actually want to do to make this a shawl that I'm gonna like and wear? Something I saw that was really cool was one of the test knitters added these pom-poms, I think, to her shawl. And while I don't have any pom-poms and I don't really plan to go purchase pom-poms, it did make me think, what would it look like if I took these little guys and made some really fun tassels? I've got a lot of yarn still left over, and I think that could be really fun and interesting and possibly even more finished looking than kind of tying these down. So I'm just gonna worry today about getting this section finished. I'm gonna let my mind wander, marinate, think about how I wanna finish this shawl, but I don't know what I'm gonna do. I might be going completely off pattern for the end of the shawl, and I'm feeling really good about having that actual calendar time to be able to think about it. What are you doing? Why are you always sleeping on my shawl? Hey, Kent.
Hello.
Okay, let me know what you think about this. Okay, this is not a super good picture, it doesn't show the whole thing, but it's basically like that for like the whole bottom section, and it's just like little pointies like this. And I'm not sure I really like that. I know I don't like it. I can show you a full picture of it.
What about the green part in this one?
Yeah, so that would be with the gray, like here, which could be cool.
I think that would look good at least.
And they also give you an option to basically like after the gray, like you just bind off.
Yeah.
Like right there.
I think that would look good.
But what I don't like is this. Like, see how this is like attached and elongated? I don't really like that. So my thought is I might do this, and instead of doing like attaching that like that, make kind of like big crazy tassels that like loop through here and like hang off the shawl. What do you think, Toaster?
I think more the gray, like
light pink gray, or I could do like gray, light pink, gray, light pink, gray.
That could be cool too. I think it definitely needs some more gray in it.
More gray?
The dark gray, yeah.
So maybe do the gray at the bottom.
Yeah.
Don't attach these. What, you want this?
It's kind of hard for me to visualize. Like, I'm trying.
Oh my goodness, I just did something terrible. Here are my needles. And here are my stitches. Luckily, I'm really close to the end. Section 9 is done. Actually 10. Oh yeah, it's this side, it's this side. I was just gonna say, I don't even remember which side that was. I've got a little bit of tightness here that I think I'm gonna be able to block out. But it is finished. Got my stitches back on the needle. I had to do a little fudging at the end, just like I did on the other side, but things are all good. All the ends are woven in, and that will just continue to stay blurry. Just imagine it. It looks just like the other side. Here it is. One section to go on this wild shawl. It is so long and so stripy. So I am gonna do something wild, and I am gonna take a break from this tonight. I have been sitting and working on this and editing the first part of this video. So I feel like for about, hold on, about 6 hours of my day has been like double MKAL, and I'm caught up on my goal where I wanted to be today, which was to finish these wing sections over the weekend. And so even though I was tempted to continue on and start the next and final section, I realized that I wasn't having a great time. I'm not having a bad time, I'm just more trying to get through the shawl rather than enjoying the shawl right now. And especially because I want to make some changes for the last section, I figured that would be a good thing to like give it a break for the night, maybe work on one of my hats, step away from it, sleep on it, see what comes up, and I can always work on it nice and fresh in the morning. So that's what I'm gonna do. We'll see if I regret that. How are you gonna wear this thing? It's so long. It's so, Well, we'll see once we block it, but for now, it's going into the whip bucket and I will worry about it tomorrow. It is now Monday, and I'm really glad I gave myself like a night off from the shawl, because while I didn't really do much thinking about the shawl itself, I did kind of like let my brain wander to future projects. I've been liking doing this shawl. There's parts of it that I've loved, but I am really ready to move on to something else. And it was kind of nice to just like imagine myself a few days from now when the shawl is complete. Anyway, I was able to get started on the last section this morning. And while I do plan to make changes to it, I started it out just exactly like the pattern. It's a spooky ghost. Did you see his little tail go by? That was so cute. Actually, there we go. That's a little better. Thanks for joining us, Toaster. So I've started it off just exactly according to pattern, and I think I got like 3 or 4 rows done. Picking up the stitches took a long time, but I've got the twisted rib started here, right underneath everything. So this is what I'm debating right now. I know now I'm gonna do the early bind off option. I have been kind of stalking the Westknits Ravelry group and have now seen 2 photos of people who did the early bind off option. Both of these people did the like loop down part. One of them did it according to pattern, and the other one I think just sewed them down instead of attaching them with knitting, which the pattern says. And I don't think I really want to do either of those options, but I did like that I could see the short like bind off and how it looked, and I think it looks really, really good. So I'm definitely gonna do that, but I don't think I'm gonna attach these at all. Knowing I could sew them down later if my whole other idea doesn't work out though is really good. So I think I'm just gonna do this according to pattern, and then I'm gonna bind off. And according to the pattern, you would bind off in the main color, but I'm not really sure I want to do that. I think I might just want to bind off in this color, and then I want to add tassels. So I believe there are 5 braid points, and I think it would be really fun to have alternating, either combined or alternating color tassels of these 2 colors. So I think that would look better if I bind off in the gray, but I'm a little worried it will look like unfinished. So I need to think on that for a little bit. But yeah, it's going well so far. After the pickup, it was very easy to do. Oh, just in case you're still working on this part of the pattern, something that I found really helpful is I grabbed my light bulb stitch markers and I marked like on the I-cord everywhere he said to do, like you should be doing, I think he kept saying you should be picking up like the 19th stitch like in the center. So I went and I like put a light bulb stitch marker there, and then I counted back 19 and I put a marker where I needed to start and I put a marker where I needed to end. That made things so much easier. And then I've been using my double pointed needles that I got 2 weeks ago for even more things, and I'm just keeping them in my bag now because I have a feeling I'm gonna maybe use them for the I-cord bind off. I found it kind of difficult. I'm still on a 24-inch needle. I probably could go up to a 32, but I don't really like using a longer cord than I have to. But when I was picking up stitches, I just found it like there was too much like pressure, weight, and like torque on the needle. So I was able to use just the circular needle as the stitch that I loaded, or the needle that I loaded all the stitches onto, and then I used just one double point as like pick up and then knit onto it, onto the double point. I'm getting hot, I'm like running out of words. But I do like having double pointed needles also for binding off, just because sometimes again, like with the circular needles, like the weight of the project can kind of affect the comfort level and also just how you're binding off. So that had me thinking that maybe I do want to invest in like a set of double pointed needles, not to be used as knitting needles. Well, I guess they're still knitting needles, but not to be used together, just to be used in combination with my other needles. All right, well, that's all the knitting time I have for today, probably because we're going to a show tonight, but it's Monday. I've got the rest of today, tomorrow, and Wednesday to finish the shawl. So with the number of rows that I have left, which is like 9 and a bind off, I've got a lot of hours ahead of me, but not too many, and I think I can do it. Okay, I've got my shawl laid out, and I'm kind of looking at what it may look like to add to my section 10, because I gotta make some decisions here soon. I have a lot of knitting time today, and I want to get this bound off with the I-cord. Okay, so here it is all laid out. Obviously, it will look a little different with blocking, but I wanted to kind of imagine doing like either tassels or fringe here. So the difference being that a tassel is like a totally separate piece that like has a piece of yarn wrapped around it, whereas fringe, I could actually like poke through here and loop, which I think would be much easier. So I might have to do like a practice one, but I'm a little worried because I want to make them really, I want to make them really big and really plump. And so I don't want to waste my yarn because this is all I have left. So what I'm trying to decide today is this part right here for the early finish. The instructions say to use the main color to bind off. So it would have pink right under there. But I don't think I really want to do that. I think I want to bind off in the gray and then do all of my little tassels in alternating like contrast color, main color, contrast, main, contrast. I would do the main color as the 3, like the center and the 2 outside, if I have enough yarn, but I think I have more just by going like this. I think I have more of the, more of the contrast color. So I'm kind of thinking about that. I still have several more rows to go on this section before I need to decide what color to bind off with, but that's where I'm at right now. I've got just one more row, no, 2 more rows. One more row of the accent color for sure, and then the last row is when you switch over to the color that you're going to do the I-cord bind off with, which means I'm just about at the point where I need to make a decision on the I-cord bind off. And I think I am still leaning towards ending with the gray, binding off in the I-cord with the gray because I want to save all my pink yarn for big old tassels. But before I commit to that, I think it's worth making a tassel and seeing how it looks. Woo! It definitely needs that because it needs like a standout kind of thing there on the bottom. So that's what I'm about to do, is make at least one tassel. I'm a little nervous because I want them to be big, so I want to like use a lot of yarn, but I will need to weigh the tassel and make sure I can make at least 3 of them out of one color. So yeah, what I usually like to do is get something like cardboard that I can do even like wraps around. Like you can wrap it around your hand, but that's not going to be a very big tassel. And then I think for the actual part that's going to fasten, I've decided not to do fringe because I want these to like have a little bit of movement and tassels hang off of another string. So I don't want it to just be this, right? Because that will be so fine. Ooh, it's dark in here. You can see the city though behind me. So what I think I'm gonna do is kind of do one of those things where you like twist the yarn, like 2 strands of yarn together a lot. I know this is not easy to see. It's not really a tutorial, it's just a chat. Anyway, you twist a lot, right? You twist so much that eventually the yarn, you can like bend it and it will twist on itself, right? And that, can you get that, camera? Yeah, that not only makes a very pretty rope-like thing, but it's also much stronger. So I'm gonna make some of those to like hang the tassels, and I'm really hoping that it won't ruin things, but it would be kind of nice if I can just hang my little tassels like through the loop and catch one little like thing right here, so it will pull down the tassel, but I won't actually have to do any sewing on it. So we're gonna go experiment while I watch The Bachelor, and I'll let you know how it goes.
You say all the right things when I'm hurting. You always pick me up when I am down. It's like you have a spark that leaves me burning. Yeah, you just have your ways to get me high. You make all my dreams come true. It feels right when I'm around you. We could break up and then make up. I always come back to you. You move me in a way never thought anyone could. You get me high. You're my drug when I am feeling blue. Yeah, it's all you, 'cause you're the one.
I have a tassel, and I think it looks pretty cool. Okay, so you can see we got a lot of movement. I couldn't put it on fully because one, we're just not done with this yet, and I didn't want to like, I think what I'm gonna end up doing is like looping it through this rope here, but I didn't think I could get it back out once I did that, so I just used a stitch marker to pin it. But I think I like it. I'm really hoping I have enough yarn to do hot pink, my main color, in the middle, so I have 3 hot pink and then the 2 this lighter pink there. And so I think I will end with gray once I do a little weigh-in. I did 100 wraps around that little book because I wanted something really plump, and I didn't think to measure out this part, so that's gonna have to be trial and error. But at least I can make them longer and cut them down. But yeah, I think that's gonna be so cool to have a little bit of extra. We'll have to see how it all turns out.
Yeah, you're the one, babe. Yeah, you're the one. Yeah, you're the one, babe. Yeah, you're the one.
Good morning. It is Wednesday, which means it is Clue 4 day 7. So this is the day that I want to finish my shawl, and I think it's gonna happen. there's just one thing standing in our way, which is blocking and then finishing those tassels. But of course I want my shawl to be dry before I add the tassels, and I'm not going to block the tassels. They're just gonna be not blocked. I don't want to get them soaked. I think that's gonna take a while for them to dry. I almost blocked this last night, but I thought it would be nice to wait until daylight to show the blocking process a little bit. And also I needed some time to kind of like think about how I wanted to do the finishing bit. So this morning I sat down and I sewed together like the outer loops with the kind of other sections. I still left them open so that I can like poke the tassel through that loop there, but I think it looks much nicer. And of course my middle ones here are just open and ready for when I'm gonna poke those tassels through. What is so funny is when I was listening to the instructions, Stephen has you sew, where are we? He has you sew the outside loops to the accent color here, but I also did it on this side. But when I was listening to those instructions, do you know what he said?
Maybe you could add a tassel to that loop. Oh, that would be so cool. You could add tassels to all the corners. That's another solution if you have leftover yarn.
I thought that was just so funny. Like, I guess in my head, I was already thinking like Stephen West. So anyway, I've got my blocking supplies here in the kitchen. I've got my bucket that I got at Target like a million years ago. I've got some solution, some wool wash here, and a towel to squeeze it all out later. So I'm gonna get this blocking and then we're gonna set a 20-minute timer and come back to it.
The sun's going down as I try to make my way through the crowd. Feeling alive, I love being by your side. It makes me shine. We got one summer so
If this doesn't bleed, I'm gonna use the wash water because it's mostly clean to wash a dirty garment after this.
in the night. Love being right next to you. You'll be on my mind. I'll be dreaming.
It's been 20 minutes and I'm ready to block. So I usually block everything in this corner of the living room, which is like behind my desk over there, just because it's mostly out of the way. I'm gonna try to just use my foam puzzle pieces. These are from Knit Picks, but I do have a big blocking board there. It just takes up a lot of space and I don't really know if I need the depth yet. So we're just gonna have to get it all out and see what we need.
Do you hear that sound? Can you feel the music? Let's get wild. We're magic, you and I.
Yeah, I don't think this space or these puzzle pieces are gonna be big enough. I ended up finding a better space here in the bedroom, but I did have to use that bigger blocking board and then use the smaller ones around it. And then the only parts that I really wanted to pin out were the bottom points with like the loops. I wanted those to really already be stretched out so that they were ready for my tassels, and also the long gray parts with those like wavy little cables. I wanted those to be nice and flat and they were kind of curling up. The shawl should only be in our way for about a day though, because it will dry super fast. I'm hoping that it's actually dry by tonight. Well, guess what? It is done. We're right back where we started all those weeks ago when I showed you my yarn, and behind me here I have my shawl and I have my final numbers, which is going to be so exciting, and Toaster's here too. All right, the moment you have been waiting for. Here she is, and the sun is like setting right now, so it's perfectly beautiful time to show off my shawl. And I have so many things to tell you about these tassels here in just a minute, but just take it all in. This was like sections 8, 9, 10 was down here where I did the early bind off, and then I added tassels, which I really love. Oh, it's the first time I'm getting a look at them like from a distance. Sometimes when you take a picture or like look at things from further away, they just look so much more put together than when you're like right up close in it. Okay, so I will come back to this, but let's talk about the math. So for the 3 sections of Clue 4, there was these 2 identical sections, 8 and 9. Now, I timed both of these and I got drastically different times on them. So we're just gonna try to find the average, which was 8.5 hours. I think one was like 6 hours and 45 minutes and the other one was something like 10, which just can't be right. I mean, they were identical. So we're just gonna call it 8.5 hours per and 17 in total. Then for section 10, that final section, I did the shortened version, and I also made that change where I bound off in my accent color instead of the main color, early exit option, but changed it a little bit. And that only took me 3 hours for the knitting plus 1 hour for just the bind off. Then the tassels. The tassels took me about 12 minutes each. Making like this tassel part was fast. It was making the little ropes that was not as fast. Now here's the thing. The way that I added these on, let me talk you through it. I took a little video of it. So basically I knew I wasn't gonna fit the big tassel like loop through if I tied the strings ahead of time. So instead I left the strings really long, I looped them through, and then I like kind of came around the back and tied them. I actually did one knot with both strands together and then another knot with the 2 strands separate. And then I made a mistake. Well, it wasn't really a mistake. I didn't know it was until I did it, but I cut these. And I wanted to leave like a little bit on the end so that it didn't unravel, but now I think it just looks sloppy. So I have 2 options here. I could just cut it closer, but then I'm afraid it's gonna come undone. Or I can make them again, and instead of just chopping them, what I should have done is like separated these. There's 4 strands. I basically made a 4-ply yarn, separated these, and like wove them in here on the back, which is what I think I'm gonna do. And even though that's gonna be a pain, I mean, it's probably only gonna be like an hour's work, and I'm not doing it today. I definitely don't feel like it. I think it's important for the finishing of it. I just finished reading The 7 Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, and in the book, one of the main characters is interviewing the other character, and she's been working with this person for a really long time. And she says something to the effect of like, I didn't do all this work to then bunt at the end. And that's my new motto now for projects. I didn't put so many hours in this to then at the end go, you know what? I don't feel like doing that part that's gonna take me an hour to redo to make it really look good. Like, that's just a little bit silly. If you don't wanna do it, don't do it, but I do want it to look really good, and so that's not what I meant to say. I think past me wouldn't have done it because I would have felt like I already put all these hours in, I don't want to put any more in. But like now I'm thinking like, because I put so many hours in, I owe it to myself to put like 1 more hour in to really make it shine. Does that make sense? I'm not saying it's a bad choice to like not go back and do things. That's an okay choice too. Anyway, I'm really, really happy with how it came out. It's so, so good. Even though it's a little bit hot in here, I'm gonna put this thing on because we gotta see it, right? The whole thing. I mean, it is just so big. You saw it on my queen size bed. It is massive. So let's see. I think we're just gonna do it like this for now. Just leaving some down the back. It's really long. It's like hitting the back of my knee. And I don't know, I think it's really beautiful. I was worried about the shape because I wasn't sure like how practical it would be to wear, and to be honest, it feels a little bit like it's gonna fall off. So let me just put this other side around and we're good. We're cozy. It's amazing. What am I doing? There. It's cozy, it's great, it's fun, it's big. It's very big. I have some final thoughts for you, plus the math total. Let's do the math here real quick. So, moving back to Clue 1. Clue 1 was the longest by far. It was 34 hours of knitting. Then Clue 2 was 26 hours. Clue 3 was 14 hours. That was the shortest one. And Clue 4 was 22 hours for me. giving us a grand total of 96 hours. Just in case you're curious, I did figure out that if you divide 96 by 24, which is how many hours are in a day, you get 4. Which means this shawl took 4 full 24-hour periods. 4 full days, which is just absolutely crazy. That was so much knitting, and that brings me to some of my final thoughts. So, if you felt like maybe finishing the shawl was a little anticlimactic, that's really how I felt when I was binding things off. I was like, why doesn't this feel better? I thought I was gonna feel like so excited and like rush to block it right away, and I just kind of felt like not even relief. Like I guess I expected to feel relief, which was so funny. But then the next day, after I bound it off, I was just working on the tassels. This was last night, and I felt a sense of like peace and accomplishment that I was hoping for. So it did come, but it didn't come in the way that I expected it, kind of like that really good feeling you get like when you finish an exercise or something like that. And I just expected it to feel that way. I don't know why. So it kind of came a little later, and last night I was working on the tassels and just doing the finishing work, and it felt so good. Like I felt a feeling that I hadn't felt in many, many weeks working on the shawl, where it didn't feel like I had to knit. I finished the tassels, I knit a few rows on a hat, and then I was like, I'm free. I can just do what I want, be what I want, watch a little TV. I like was actually more into getting up and doing the dishes and cleaning because I didn't feel like I needed to get so many hours of knitting in. And all of that to say that I am thinking already about next year and doing the Westknits shawl, and I'm not sure at this moment. Did I have fun knitting the shawl? 100% yes. Did I have a bad time at some times? Maybe not a bad time, but a difficult time. It wasn't always enjoyable, and I think that's because of the volume of knitting that I was trying to do in such a short time. Just isn't realistic for anyone. I mean, I'm sure some people had a fine time doing it. Maybe they're super duper fast, but for me, it just felt a bit like I was a little trapped and stuck in the contest of things, and that's really fun for me. I like doing that, but not for 4 weeks. I can't even tell you how excited I am to go into my stash here and start some sweaters and not feel the pressure to have to finish it or do a certain amount every single day. So the short answer of will I do it again is I'm not really sure at this moment. Turning around so you can see the beautiful city and the sunset behind me as we close out. And I just want to leave you with this. Anytime that you are knitting or crocheting or making something or doing something creative and it's for you, please don't put any pressure on yourself that is unnecessary. Yeah, I put a lot of pressure on myself for this shawl, but it was all in good fun. But knitting, I feel like, should always be joyful. So if you have a project, or hey, maybe it's this project, even if you're 3/4 of the way done, if you don't like the way it looks, if you don't enjoy knitting it, if you're not having a good time, you should, I think, put it away for a few days out of sight, sleep on it, come back to it, and if you're still not enjoying it, I think that you will have so much joy in ripping that out and putting that beautiful yarn to good use somewhere else. Okay, I'm gonna go enjoy the shawl being finished for like 2 seconds before I fix these little tassels. It's gonna be worth it. Again, I just wanna have something that I'm gonna like and enjoy, and this is a shawl that I'm gonna hang on to for at least a little while. If you didn't know, I gave away last year's shawl. Never wore it, but this one I'm really digging and I'm really liking. So thanks for coming on this super long journey with me. Please let me know if you were knitting or just following along, your thoughts on the shawl. Do you like the end? Did you enjoy knitting it? What happened? I want to hear all your stories down below. I'm going to be checking those out, and I have lots more fun vlogs and things coming up later this year because we're doing Vlogmas. So I will see you in the future. Bye.